Hi there, welcome to our next video. This one we're going to talk about count, average, and sum. Let's write them out over here just so you remember. And I'm going to show you these and we'll look at a couple fancier ones. So first of all, we'll do count. There's a couple different kinds of count. We have count and we have count A. Now, what does count do? Count will only add numbers together. It will count how many numbers there are. So I'm going to type in equals count. And I'm going to select everything from A1 all the way down to A19. So it creates this range, equals count, bracket, A1 colon A19. And it's going to come back and tell me that there's 19 items in that list. And of course, if we click on the corner and drag them out, it's going to say that every column that I have here has 19 different things in it, right? Now, let's take number 60 over here, and we'll change that into Apple. What's going to happen? It comes back and tells us there's 18 numbers, but there's 19 things, right? So if we want to find out how many things there are, meaning we could have our list with a bunch of different things in it, numbers and words, we'll go down here and we'll type in equals count A. And then we're going to grab the same range like this, A1 to A19. And it says now that there's 19 items, right? So it's going to count the 17 numbers and the 2 items. So that's count and count A. Either count numbers or count things, right? Next, let's look at average. So I'm just going to erase this column, or we'll leave it for now. That's okay. So we'll go over here, and we're going to average column C. So I'm going to go equals average, and we're going to grab the whole column. So that's going to be C1 to C19. And it's going to say the average of all the numbers, or if you add them up and divide them by the number of numbers, you'll get 47.26. So that's the average for that column, right? We could also do sum, and sum equals sum. We can click on the whole column, like this, and hit enter, and it will say that if we add all those numbers up together, it's 898, right? So that gives us the ability to add up a group of numbers, and we could average them. And of course, we could do them the other way too, right? So let's say we click over here on the side. I could even hit the auto sum button, and it will add all these numbers together. You always want to make sure when you're using auto sum that the numbers that it selected are actually the ones you want to add together, which in this case were good. And it will say if we add this row this way, row 16, it equals 262. We could drag this up like this to get the totals of all rows. And we could even grab these guys at the bottom and drag them over, telling us the average and the total for each column, right? So it gives us a lot of flexibility of how we're going to do sum and average for our random numbers. Okay, but now this is pretty easy. Let's do something a little fancier, right? So we'll just change these guys back to some regular numbers. And we're going to do 3 more quick formulas. So they're basically the same, but we're going to do count if, average if, and sum if. And these guys let us add together numbers only if they meet a particular criteria. So let's do an example. I'm going to do equals count if, and as soon as we do that, it says range and criteria. So range, I'm just going to grab all of our numbers, right? So I'm going to do A1 to G19. I'm going to press comma, and now you'll notice that we go into the second part. And my criteria is put in a quote and say greater than or equals to 5, just like this. Okay, so it's going to tell us that there's 125 cells that are greater than or equals to 5. Let's try the same thing, but we'll look at 50. So it's going to tell us that there's 61 cells that are greater than or equals to 50. Now, all the other formulas have the same syntax. You write them out the same way. So let's give that a try. So let's say equals average if, and this is going to be our range, and then our criteria is going to be greater than or equals to 50. So for all the numbers that are greater than or equals to 50, I want you to average those, and we get a 73. Just out of curiosity, let's do the actual average of all the numbers. So we'll do equals average. We'll grab all the numbers, and it tells us the average of all the numbers is 45. We'll do count. How many numbers are there in total? There are 133 of them. And let's do sum. How much are all the numbers added together? And that's 6,000. But using COUNTIF, we said that if you count only numbers above 50, there's 61 of those as opposed to 133. Our average above 50 is 73 as opposed to 45. And finally, let's do our SUMIF. SUMIF, and we're going to grab all the numbers, and we're only going to add up numbers together that are greater than or equals to 50. And of course, you can change this number to whatever you want. And it's going to say that if you add up all the numbers above 50, the total is going to be 4,455 as opposed to the total of all the numbers, which is 6,068, right? So by doing this, we could count, average, or sum everything, or we could count, sum, and average according to a criteria, which could give us very different answers. And sometimes this is really useful. Like, for example, let's say you want to know how many items on the menu cost less than $1, or how many items on the menu cost more than $10. This would be able to tell you right away and give you some ideas about what's happening with the numbers. Have a great day.